Okay, so hello everyone. So this particular lecture, I'm going to demonstrate how to install Node.js, Express, and MongoDB for doing assignment 4. Actually, this is my second attempt to record this video. And in the first video, I forgot to share my screen. So I would have to redo everything. The interesting thing is that, like, because I'm using my own computer, it may not be exactly the same. Like all of the things that I use is already, installed in my computer. So I cannot probably simulate what you're doing. And then obviously I cannot simulate what you're doing if you're using Windows computers. So please note that in mind, that it may take some more time to do it. Okay, so I will start by following this instruction that I may revise on the fly. So the first thing that you have to do is to install Node.js. Let me actually make this left adjusted to make it look better. Okay, so let's go to download, and then you would have to pick right one for your platform. In my case, it's going to be macOS installer. Please pick LTS instead of current. LTS is going to be the stable one. So if you download, it's going to download on your computer, and then hopefully it is going to install it. And then, what's my password? Okay. So yeah, it's installing it, even though I'm probably rewriting on top of the existing one. So it's going to install two different things. One is Node.js and the other is npm package. So yeah, and I don't need the installer anymore. So that's the first one. So now I'll be able to run Node and npm in the command line window. So in Macs, it's going to be terminal. In Windows case, it's going to be something different. It's going to be what? It's going to be either command or terminal, PowerShell, whichever one you want to use. So let me open a new file. So like to basically, to briefly introduce how to use, how to navigate. ls is basically to show what's available in the folder. The current directory in Mac's case, pwd, or Linux is going to be pwd. What else? If you want to navigate, you can use cd and then write down the folder name. And then if you press tab, it's going to autocomplete. So I'm going to go to CS3744. It has assignment 4 folder already, but I'm going to create a new one just for the sake of demonstration. Demo assignment 4. Okay, so now I have another folder. So I'm going to go in. So let me clear. So this is basically the folder that we're going to use for the demonstration. But you can run Node in any folder. Like you can basically run Node here, and basically Node is JavaScript runtime environment. So it's like you can run JavaScript code here, like, you know, like you would use in console. I wonder if I can make it bigger. Oops. So you can create these sort of thing, random string, and then you can evaluate it, concatenate. You can use console. You can use error. Yeah, so basically it's almost same as the console. And I'm gonna exit it. But you can also run a file. So right now we don't have anything, but suppose we have like a file, and then we can run things like server.js. So, and then it's gonna run this whatever JavaScript JavaScript code that exists inside this server.js. Okay, so let me actually create a server.js and then open the editor, open the folder. Now we have this server.js. I'm going to open it in Atom. So console.log, testing, and then what I'm going to do is node.server.js, and it's going to run that function, run that line, and then, you know, terminate the execution because there's nothing to run more. Okay, so so what else can we have? Like, what's the next one? So next one is to install Mongo database. Here you would have to select your own operating system to pick the right one. For me, it's going to be Mac OS. Here it's asking you to install Xcode, but you don't really have to. The only thing that you have to install is this command line tools because it's using Brew. So you can do things like how to install Xcode command line tools, and then oh, without Xcode. And then there's a particular command lines that I think you can use. I think this is it. Let's try this. For me, everything is already installed, but hopefully once you install this, you should be able to use Brew, which is basically kind of like a package manager for Mac OS. Brew. Okay, so that's that. So if you have Brew already, I think you can immediately skip this part and then go over to the next one. So tap the MongoDB Homebrew tab. So that's basically, I think it's updating the Brew, and it's going to take a while. So because it's going to take a while, let me actually pause recording because I don't want to wait in real time. All right, I'll come back. Okay, so we've been waiting. So let's check out the next step. So this was the last, we just run this thing, which is basically updating the brew. And then brew is like the package manager. I think it took about 5 minutes, but I was doing something else. So what's the next one? Next one was, whoops, that's not it. And this is Windows, so let me go back to the Mac. Okay, install this MongoDB. If I run this thing, it's going to install it, even though like MongoDB is installed already. So, okay, so I think it's installed. So now what it can do is to recognize this Mongo function, which is not running because we would have to run MongoDB database server. So basically I would have to open a new window. And then here, we would have to create a folder that is going to store the data. So let me actually go to the demonstration folder again, documents. Yes. Okay, so this is it, but I'm going to create a new folder called data, and then I'm going to call Mongo database and db path, which is basically passed to the folder, and that's going to be data. So now it's running web database server in this particular port. So now I can run Mongo. Okay, so let me make it smaller. So like few basic commands that it could be useful for you. So basically in this window, I'm running command line tool for Mongo database, which I can check what kind of database it has, what kind of collection it has, and what kind of data that a particular collection has. So let me show database that exists. It has the default database. And then if I pick one particular database, I can use admin, and then it can show what kind of collection that it has. Show collections. Okay, it has nothing. That's fine. So, okay, now we have installed the database. And then we create a folder for assignment 4. And then I talked about how to navigate. And then let's create a Node app following the tutorial and this link. This is pretty useful tutorial. And then as part of this tutorial, we're gonna install Express. So we already installed Node.js, so we can skip this part. But what I'm gonna do here is to create a folder. Basically initialize the folder to be a Node project and create package.json. So I guess we would have to have one more window. So basically for this particular assignment, it would be nice to have 3 terminal. It's kind of hard to see. So let me actually organize them. So this is MongoDB. This is to run Node.js server. And this particular, Window is for running Mongo database server, which we are not going to look at too often. But like we would have to leave this open to be able to run a MongoDB database. So let's go to the folder. One more time. Okay, so npm init.y is going to initialize this folder as a node project, and it created package.json. So if I open it, the folder in the finder, it created this package.json file. What it has is basically some useful information about the version, description, the name of the main JS file. So this is the default value. You can have some script like npm test or npm start is going to run these sort of script, and it does not have any package, but I can do things like if I do npm test, it's going to run this particular script. If I do npm start, it's going to run node server.js, which is basically what we have. What we have right now is this guy. Okay, so that is that. So next thing that I'm going to do is we're going to install a package called Express, which is basically the framework that we're going to use for routing. So let's go back to terminal. And again, this is Mongo command line tool. This is MongoDB like that is running. I would have to install this Express package inside this inside this folder. The -- save means that I'm going to save this dependency inside the package.json. So it installed it, and if you go back to package.json, you can see that now it has Express as one of the package that it needs. Okay, so now we have Express package, and then we check out the package.json. What else? So prepare static content. So this particular part, I'm going to use our own index.html and index.js file that I posted in Canvas. So Canvas and files. If we go to assignment folder, assignment 4 has these three files. So I will download the entire thing. I think I can download the whole thing. Here. Downloading as a zip file. Okay, so what I'm gonna do is I'm gonna copy this whole thing, and then oops, this the first recording that I didn't share my screen actually. So what do I do? There are too many things. Okay, this is the one. So I'm going to create a folder called public, and then locate these three files, and then server.js is basically for web server. So I'm going to put it in the root folder and then replace it. now what it has, if you go back to the Atom, server.js has a bunch of code that I wrote for the assignment 4, and it looks pretty complex, but I would recommend you to skim each, read the code and just get a hang of what it does. And I try to name each function meaningfully so that it means something. Okay, so that is server, and then okay, in public folder it has index.html, index.js, but basically, let me actually create another server. Let me actually rename the server, and let's say canvas for now, and then create a new file, server.js, and then actually use that ones from the tutorial. So here, this is basically you don't have to do this because we have our own public folder and then our own index.html. And then what we're going to do is create a server that is going to respond whenever it gets request on static files inside the public folder. So I'm going to grab this too. Oops. I guess it's better to. So basically, at the end of the day, this is the whole thing that you will need. So let me actually grab this whole thing. So let me just briefly go over what it means. So it's importing the Express package here, and then creating a web app using Express function, and then it's declaring that, hey, I'm going to use static function, which is basically saying that, hey, inside the public folder, Express, this app should respond to any files inside this public. And then this is basically adding more folders that the router needs to handle using these additional directory. But probably you're not going to use this because we don't have any subfolder inside public. We just have public, so we don't really need this. And then we're creating a server here, and we're saying, hey, I'm going to listen to 8081, and then it has a callback function. Basically, it's saying once the connection is made, I'm going to print out a message that says, hey, server started at HTTP localhost and port. So let me save it, and then go back to the folder. So this is the folder. So now we have two server.js and server underscore canvas. So let me run this first. Server node server.js. So it's actually creating a web server, and then it does not end, the program does not end. And because it has to keep running to be able to run a web server. So while you want to test it, you don't want to quit this command line program. So I'm going to copy this and then go here and then paste it. If I go to this website, it's going to retrieve index.html inside this public folder. Because I can request any kind of static file, so I can ask for index.js, and it's going to give me the basic JavaScript file that I provided to you. So yeah, but it doesn't have to be, so by default, if I don't specify any file name, it's always going to look up index.html, but it could be anything. It could be like, let's create a random file. So new file, hello.html, and I'm going to say hello world. Then go back here, and then I can specify this guy. Okay, so I save it, refresh. So it's kind of like, simple web server that is basically going to fetch HTML file and then render them. So this is the starter code of assignment 4. But I provided a more complex server. So what I'm going to do is, but like, this server underscore canvas is basically include what I wrote here. So it's going to have public, it has express, and then it's going to have server at the end, and so forth. So what I'm going to do is get rid of this guy, and then change its name to server.js, because that's the default starting server main JavaScript file that is defined in the h.json. So I'm going to stop and run server again. It's going to do a little bit more. Okay, so the other thing that I forgot to do is, like, I think I wrote it down in the tutorial, but basically I would have to write install one more package, which is called MongoDB, which is basically a package like a Mongo database driver for Node.js. Without this, like, Node.js file cannot manipulate MongoDB database. So I would have to go here and then run this function, run this line, and then it's going to download that particular package from a cloud server. So yeah, basically, like, npm package is going to take care of, as long as it has internet connectivity, it's going to download the file and then download all the node module that it needs to download, and then install it. Also, like, again, --save is going to update the package.json. So now it has another package that is needed. And then, I don't know if you recall the meme that we looked at last time, but like node module have lots of module, like lots of packages that it needs to have because of the dependency of these two packages that we're using. So this require a lot of different things. MongoDB requires a lot of different things, and then it's going to install everything, by default automatically. So for example, if you go to Express, any kind of node module is going to have package.json, and then you can see that Express require lots of other kinds of package. For example, it's going to require body parser, and then you can see that body parser is installed automatically because of this package.json. Okay, so that's why we there was a meme about like node module being too big. Okay, so now that we installed MongoDB driver, I think we can run node server.js. By the way, here it says it added 16 packages from 10 contributors and audited 47 packages. So like to be able to install MongoDB package, it added 16 packages on top of MongoDB. So now, once we have MongoDB, I'm going to run it. Now it says we're running a web server, which is basically it's going to look exactly the same, but inside the code it does more than it looks. It created one database and it created a collection called task. So here you can see that right now in the beginning, like when I run show database, it only show me 3. But if I show DBS database again, it's going to add one more database. So let me actually use it. Oops, not that. To list, and if I use it, it switched to DB 3744 to-do list. And if I show collection, it's going to have task. One useful command to see what's inside this collection is db.tasks.find. And right now it has nothing, so it does not return anything. But once we start adding, we're going to have something. Okay, so db task find and length is going to return the number of documents inside this collection. So right now it's 0. Okay, so I don't know if you noticed, but like this particular MongoDB, MongoDB server has been responding whenever I make some changes here. So if I do this, you can see, hopefully, let me change show database. Oh, maybe it's not responding. Let me actually run this again. And then you can see this is responding whenever something is going on MongoDB. Use admin, use now, does not have any collection. Like any command line tool, you can revisit the command history using the up arrow or down arrow. And yeah, so I think I did everything. Okay, so we did this, like I didn't do it in the correct order, but yeah, basically one thing that I could have added, you can open another window and run Mongo to monitor your database and collection. Okay. So I think that's the demonstration that I wanted to provide, because some of you may have some hard times installing these, these things, because it's like some of you may not be familiar with command line tools, but hopefully this helps. The other thing didn't cover is like exactly the same thing in Windows. I mean, for Linux, I think it's going to be very similar to what I did, but Windows is going to be different. But hopefully, if you follow the tutorial, you should be able to get to a point where you run a server with the server like server.js file that is available in Canvas, and you can get the index.html file. Okay, so basically index.html file does not do anything at all, but let me actually show you the working one. So let me actually change it to the one that I have. And then let me see if it's okay, it's using the right JavaScript file. So let me run it, node server.js. And then there's nothing in it. And then if I run it again, it has nothing in it. But what I'm trying to show you is that to show how the database changes, I add task items. So if I go back, if I run this again, now I have one record. But if I don't run the length, it's going to return the whole data. Basically, you can see that it's using JSON format. So you can see like there's key value pairs. So this is key, this is value, and then this is key, this is value, and so forth. It's completed is equal to false, but if I click it, it's going to update completed property to true, and so forth. Okay, so I think you should be able to start the assignment but if you have any question, please, please find me in Piazza or office hour. Okay, thank you very much. Have a good luck with your assignment 4, and I'll see you. I think this is, this particular recording is for supposed to be for Thursday, but I'm just posting earlier than it is supposed to because, like some people may have trouble with starting assignment 4, and then I could imagine this recording could be useful. So I'm just sharing this earlier than I'm supposed to. Okay, so I'll see you next week. Bye.